Good morning, everyone. We're about ready to get started. It's great to see such a crowd here on Friday morning. Hope everybody's enjoyed the content they've seen this week so far at Dreamforce. Everybody listened to the Colin Powell speech yesterday? Fantastic. Yeah, it was very inspiring. Could you detect the underlying message in his speech throughout? I kept hearing it over and over again in my head as he was speaking. It was like, become Salesforce certified. I was hoping that was funny. And I'm a little surprised I don't see him in the room today. I don't know. No, not in the back. All right. So welcome to Certification Station. My name is Jay Mulder. I'm a Customer Success Manager for Salesforce. And I'm a Certified System Administrator, Advanced Administrator, and a Certified Developer. With me today is Christina Major, who's a Senior Program Manager, Instructor in Training and Certification, and Karen Hennessy, who is our Program Manager of Certification. Everybody's favorite slide. So I don't think we're going to have too much forward-looking content today, but you should remember that anything you see related to future releases, you should make any buying decisions based upon that. The Safe Harbor Statement is located on our website at www.salesforce.com, and if you'd like to read it in detail, we'll leave it up here right now for about the next 15 or 20 minutes. So there is a market for certified professionals. I did a search about a week ago and just pulled some of the job postings off of the internet that required a certified Salesforce.com administrator. Hopefully none of you see your own positions posted up here. Anyways, you can see there's a market for Salesforce.com certified professionals out there. And it can be a benefit to you for your career, a benefit to your company that you understand all the functionality that's available in Salesforce.com. And then if you're in any kind of a hiring position, that can be a value too, so that you can select your best candidates based on their certifications. How many people in the room are already Salesforce.com certified? Show of hands. All right, very good. And how many people are certified administrators? All right, a few. Anybody a certified developer? Very nice. And any certified consultants in the room? Very good. Most of the content that we're going to go through today is aimed at the certified administrator, but a lot of it will also be applicable to the other tracks that are available. So the agenda today is that we're going to go through and talk about why we've decided to initiate a certification program here at Salesforce, and also the benefits of becoming certified. We're going to talk about the exam specifically and the exam taking process. We'll go through some sample questions so you can see what some of the questions are like. Then we're going to talk about what to do to get certified, where to go. And then we've actually left a pretty good chunk of time for Q&A so that we can get all of your questions answered today. The main thing that I want to do is try to relieve any anxiety that you might have as a test taker around this process so that you can just focus on getting trained, going in and taking the exam, and becoming a Salesforce.com certified professional. With that, I'll introduce Christina Major.
Hello. So how many of you have been out to our Ideas website? Okay, super. I'm really glad that you know about that. So why did we implement the certification program? Basically, you asked for it. So out on our Ideas website, as you can see, one of these postings here is from an administrator saying, hey, you know, I work just as hard as my colleagues who are Microsoft certified, you know, whatever certifications they're carrying, and they would like to be certified as well. So basically where the program came from is from you, from our customers. So you asked and we listened. So we then implemented the certification program. So some of the benefits to becoming a certified administrator and a certified developer and a certified consultant is that you then become part of a larger community of certified people. So if anybody here, LinkedIn, Facebook, I know that every hand is going to go up that you at least have to be part of Facebook. So what happens is we actually put certified pages on Facebook and LinkedIn. And so this is a place where, again, everybody in that community can come together. They can see job postings. They can communicate. So, again, these are some of the benefits. Again, you become part of this larger certified community. And next, I'm going to hand it over to Karen to talk about our certification pass, and she's a certification program manager.
Thank you. So we have 3 different tracks when it comes to certification. Our first, where most people get started, is the certified administrator, and from there you can continue on to become a certified advanced administrator. We also have a consultant track. The first step in the consultant certification is certified administrator. From there, they can continue on to become a certified implementation consultant. We also have our developer track, which starts with the developer exam, and you can continue on there to be an advanced developer. So at this stage in time, we have 5 full complete certification exams. So what about the exam? How hard is it really anyways? The exams are primarily based on our courses, and we have a course that complements each certification exam. So the best way to prepare for any of the exams, obviously, is to take the course. Also, having some practical experience as an administrator or a developer or a consultant is very important as well. So that real-world experience is going to help you definitely understand the application, know how to apply the application, and be successful in the exam. So, what does the exam actually look like? For the administrator exam, there are 60 questions. It covers a wide range of topics, which we'll look at in just a moment. You have 90 minutes to complete the exam. Most everyone completes it in under 90 minutes, which is a good thing. The exam is proctored, so we actually deliver these exams at testing centers across the world. So you can go to our website, register for the exam, you set a date and location, and you show up at a testing center where you have to show ID, and you go into a room where you can take no books, no notes, and you take the exam online at the testing center. And in order to develop these exams, we brought in a very large pool of subject matter experts across our entire organization and actually our partner network as well. So we brought in support people, consultants, program managers, all sorts of different subject matter experts who really understand what an administrator should look like, what skills they should have, and what topics and what functions they should be able to perform. From there, we came up with the exam objectives, which we'll look at, and then for each exam objective, we drilled down and started to write questions for each of those. So with that, Christina's going to talk a little bit more about the objectives.
Okay, so these particular topics will probably look familiar if you've taken the ADM 201 class. Anybody in here taken the ADM 201 class? Okay, how about the ADM 301 class? All right, so a few people, excellent. So if you're interested in class, please make sure you go down to our Success Team booth. They'll be happy to answer any questions. So if you are going to take the Certified Administrator exam, these are the topics that are covered in the exam, and you can see the weightings. So you can see customization, very heavily weighted. You can also see that security and access, very heavily weighted. Analytics. So it gives you kind of an idea of where to focus. Okay, if you've taken the ADM 201 class, you have that book. That is a great study guide. The questions come from that class. It comes from that book. We also have a study guide on our website, which is very comprehensive. So I highly recommend downloading that as well. Now there's a few arrows here. You'll see that workflow approval processing, data validation, and service and support administration. The reason we've highlighted these is these are actually areas where people are struggling a little bit. So we want you to focus on those areas. We're actually giving you a little extra information here. Okay, next slide.
Also, it's worth pointing out when you're taking the test, it's possible to pass the Salesforce certified test without going through training, but certainly training is going to be the easiest path of least resistance to get certified. If you are going to consider attempting to take the test without going through training, you're going to want to make sure that you bone up on topics that you're not as familiar with. For example, if you're working with an organization that's pretty open, like has org-wide defaults of read-write, you might not be as familiar with the security that's built into Salesforce as you think you are. So if you're in that kind of situation, you'd want to look up scenarios in the setup about studying our security model a little bit more.
Okay, so next we're going to give you a few sample questions just to get your mind going this lovely Friday morning. One thing that you want to think about when you're taking the exam is that you want to read it very carefully. Don't overanalyze it. Kind of go with your gut instinct, but you want to make sure that you don't miss a key word in there. Very, very important. A nice thing about the exam as well is that you can mark the questions and come back to them. I really like that because if you're not quite sure, you can then come back at the end and review all of them, and you can see a little asterisk next to those questions, and then you can go in and reevaluate them.
If you're marking them as you go, the ones that you're not sure that you have correct, you may find that when it gets time to submit your test that you've completed enough of the questions correctly to pass the test, and it makes it a lot easier on your mind to go ahead and click that submit button and get your results. Sorry.
That's exactly right. Okay, so our first sample question is, which objects are standard business objects in Salesforce? So you will have questions where it's a choose to. Normally, again, very straightforward, not going to try to trick you, so it'll tell you choose to. Now, the nice thing about this exam as well, it won't let you answer just one, so you can't accidentally just answer one of the options. So I'm hoping that one of these jumps out at you right away. So opportunities, I'm going to give you that one, but I'm going to make you guess for the next one. How many think that the second one is invoices? Okay. How many of you think the second one is assets? How many of you think the second one is orders? Ah, very good sign. Excellent. All right. Super. All right, you're well on your way. Let's go to the next sample question. Okay, what must an administrator do in order to enable advanced currency management?
I didn't do it twice. I swear.
Okay, so how many of you think it's A?
A lot of the questions on the exam will give you the answer. So you can go in very confident that you're ready to pass.
We really, really want you to be successful and get certified. So, all right. Well, let's just discuss this for a second. Again, let's take a look at what advanced currency management itself. You say, well, I don't really use multiple currencies. Why do I need to know that? Why do I need to know about advanced currency management? Well, if you're going to be a certified administrator, you need to know about the entire application. So you just can't know about, opportunities and accounts and, how to do a page layout and how to, create a profile. You need to know about everything. So that's why you definitely want to make sure you prepare thoroughly. I have run actually multiple road shows where we bring people in to take the exam, and where I have found that people have kind of fallen down is after the exam they're like, well, we don't really use everything, so some of those questions I didn't really know. You want to make sure you know everything before stepping into that exam.
Yeah, I want to pile on to you a little bit again there, Christina. That's one of the things that you can do to most ease your mind when you're going in to take the test is if you work with Salesforce automation all day, every day, you're probably going to do very well on those types of questions. If you don't touch the call center in your daily system administration routine, then just make sure that you bone up on those topic areas before you go in to take the exam, and it'll be a load off your mind when you see those questions. Okay, question number 3. Which statement is true regarding field level security? Again, another choose to. So A, it is enforced through the user interface and the API. B, it can be used to prevent users from seeing specific records. C, it can be used to make a field required. D, it determines which fields are hidden, read-only, and read-write for a particular profile. So I'll let you look at that for a second, and then I'll poll you and see what you think the answers are. Okay. So how many of you think A is one of the correct answers? Okay, great. How many of you think B is one of the correct answers? And C? And D? Okay, let's take a look. All right, so it's A and D. All right, so the first one, it is in fact enforced through the UI and the API. Field level security is our most granular level of security.
It also determines which fields are hidden, read-only, and read-write for a particular profile. Those, you have to know those properties. If you've gone in and set field level security, that would jump out at you pretty quickly. When you're talking about seeing specific records, what would that have to do with it? More have to do with our security model, right? Setting roles, that's access to records. This is field level security. And as far as making a field required, we would go to the page layout to do that. So we don't do that in field level security. So if you've used the features and you've been using them for at least probably 6 months, again, you'll probably be able to answer this pretty quickly.
One of the things I'd actually like to point out on this question, you see it here and you probably noticed on an earlier question as well, we actually tell you how many answers you need to select if the question is a multiple selection question. So we take out the guessing game of, oh, are there 2 right answers, 3 right answers, or 1 right answer? We'll always tell you right in advance, and the exam actually won't let you move on to the next question unless you select the right number of answers.
Okay. All right, let's go to the next question. All right, which statement best describes the purpose of the profile? So the profile is one of those really big ones, right? It's part of the customization module. You definitely need to bone up on the profile. So A, it controls access to records within your organization. B, it is a way for system administrators to determine who can see specific opportunities in your organization. C, it determines what users can do with records and that they can access. And then D, it is a way for system administrators to determine who can use the workflow feature. So again, I'm going to give you a minute to look over that and evaluate. All right, so how many of you think it is A? It controls access to records within your organization. I see when you raise your hand, people are looking around to see what other people are doing. It is a way for system administrators to determine who can see a specific opportunity in their organization. Anybody think that's the correct answer? Okay. C, it determines what users can do with records that they can access. All right. And it is a way for a system administrator to determine who can use the workflow feature. All right, let's take a look. All right, so good. Good majority of you answered C. Again, a really good sign. So if you set up a profile, that, again, should jump. It's sort of, if you take the class, we drill that into you 1,000,000 times. It's, you know, what users can do with the application, how they're interacting with the application. It doesn't control record access. It controls, again, what they can do with the records they can access in Salesforce.
That's another good point and a good tip. Just being a Salesforce system administrator in itself, if you once you understand the difference between roles and profiles and how they relate to each other, it's a real breakthrough, and it will help you a lot out in the exam.
Okay, number 5. So validation rules. This is a little bit more advanced topic, but definitely one you're going to want to know. Which validation rules ensures that users cannot enter a date in the past into the close date field? Okay, so this is a very simple formula. But the thing you have to make sure, if it's data validation, it's a little different than a regular formula, right? So I'm going to give you a little hint. You're writing for the error. So you're testing to see if they've done this wrong, then we're going to throw an error at them, okay? So think about that when you're evaluating the options. So A, close date is greater than today. So today is a function. Its whole purpose in life is to return today's date. The next one, B, is close date is less than today. C, close date is also less than today, but the syntax is a little different. So if you look at it and say, okay, ensures that users cannot enter a date in the past. So your instinct may be to go, you know, maybe to A, because we want it to be past today. But again, think about data validation. You have to sort of think of the opposite. Or D is basically close date is not equal to today. So my advice to you is if 2 of them kind of look close, you might want to look at those. So if you're looking at B and C, take a look and see which one you think is correct. Again, I'll give you a second. Look at the syntax. Okay, so how many of you think A is the correct answer? How many of you think B is the correct answer? How many of you think C is the correct answer? How many of you think D is the correct answer? So you guys were a little hesitant to answer that one at all. So let's take a look and see. All right, so B and C are very close. But if you've worked with formulas at all and you've used the today function, which is a fairly common function, you know that it needs those parentheses. Basically, the way that Salesforce would read C, it would think that today is a field. Okay? So obviously, we wanted to look at it as a function, so it needs those parentheses.
And again, we want to mention there's, typically speaking, plenty of time to get through all of the questions on the test. So if you run into these questions that are a little tricky or where all the answers are close to each other, take your time, read each one. In this case, I would translate into English myself and probably write it out and then go ahead and pick your correct answer. But generally speaking, time does not become an issue with this test.
No, and we have the hard data, and Karen can tell you about that too, that it's rare actually that people need the full 90 minutes. And not that you shouldn't take it if you need it, but time should not be a stress factor for you. Okay. So I'll turn it back over to Jay.
Sure. So what's next? You want to pick your certification path, what you're interested in. It sounds like from the people in the room, most of you would be looking along the lines of going through that administrator track. You'll definitely want to prepare for the track that you're interested in, and certainly the best way to do that is to go through our administrator training here at salesforce.com. If you don't do that, again, you want to really make sure that you prepare yourself on the topics that you are not as familiar with as others, and then go ahead and go up and sign up for a certification exam. We'll show you where to do that. It's on a Web Assessor website. And most of the exam locations are located in several cities, like NFL cities across the country here, so you should be able to find an exam center that's near you. Want to take a look around the... Oh, here we go. You want to look around the website?
Yeah, so Karen, if you want to drive
Sure.
or Jay, either way.
So one of the things I'd like to mention is that each exam has a full comprehensive study guide. Those study guides are available on our website, which I think Jay is going to open up right now. The study guides are quite long, so the study guides will outline what we expect a certified individual, either administrator, advanced administrator, developer, so forth, what we expect that person to know, and then it will list all of the exam topics, actually in greater detail than what we showed you on the slide here today. It also has supplemental material. You can read through the supplemental material, and we have sample questions, so many more questions than you just saw in this session right now. But judging from the looks of the answers in the room, it sounds like, or it looks like you guys are pretty ready. Our website is, we've got our learning paths here, which you've seen a few times today. And then for each exam, I mentioned the study guide and the sample exam. From here, you can also click to our registration to sign up for the course if you are interested in taking the course. And you can also sign up directly for the exam. So when you go to the exam sign up, you will be taken to our exam vendor's website, and you will be prompted to create a profile there. And then with that profile, you will basically associate all of your exam results if you decide to pursue more than one exam. Is there anything else we'd like to take a look at?
Want to take a little tour and show them how to get out to the certification website?
So we will come here. It looks like a Salesforce website. The first time you come here, you will have to create a new username and password that creates your exam, your test-taking profile. Once you're logged in, you can see all the exams that we offer. You can select your exam, and you can register for your exam. And you can register at any point in the future. So you could register as early as today or as late as a month from now. And then from there, the best thing to do is just start studying and make sure that you prepare for the exam.
Did you want to go out to the main website just to show how to navigate straight into certification?
Sure. So to get to our website, from just our corporate homepage, you can navigate to the Services tab. Under Training, we have the training website, which is where you'll find all of our courses, and then also the certification website as well. And again, this is the page that we were just looking at. So from here, you can take a look at our learning paths, the different courses that complement the different exams, and then you'll find all the exam information in this section here. In addition to the study guides, we also have a comprehensive FAQ document that's available on the website as well.
Just to talk about the study guide again, it's extremely comprehensive, especially for the folks who've taken the 201 exam. Like that's pretty much what got them there, you know, as far as making sure that they were truly ready, because it has the sample questions, but it really does show you exactly what to study. There are a few topics beyond the 201 class. Those are covered in there. It tells you how to prepare for those particular topics. So we definitely highly recommend that if you're preparing, make sure you go out to our website to download that information.
One thing I'll add about the certification is that once you are certified, your certification is valid for 1 year. However, Salesforce, as you know, we have product releases 3 times a year, and it's very important that our certified administrators and developers stay current as we push out new products. So 3 times a year, we actually publish a release-specific exam, and it's generally a very short exam, anywhere from 10 to 15 questions, and that exam will cover anything that was released in the most recent release. So for example, we recently published our Winter 10 certification exam. It's a 15-question exam, and we generally publish it about a month after the release, and you have up until the following release to take that exam. And for the release-specific exams, you actually do not have to go into a testing center. So it is an open book exam. You can take it from anywhere, and you can take it on your own time.
It's 15 questions, and you have about 1.5 minutes to complete those on the... Just kidding.
Okay, this will be you. When you get certified, everybody will, you'll be like, yay, I got certified, and everybody will be really envious.
So we already kind of talked about this, but so take the next step, and if you haven't taken training, that's definitely the best way to prepare for any of the Salesforce certifications, and then go out and register for an exam, take it and pass. So we'll get to the survey later, and I'm sure you've already seen this, but we've left a good chunk of time here for question and answer, so we'd like to hear any questions you have about the material today, or anything about the certification process or the certification exam. And if you would step up to the microphone, it'd probably be a good way.
I can also carry it around too if you guys raise your hand. All right.
Is it on? Okay. I have a quick question. I've taken the Admin 201 class 4 years ago. Mm-hmm. I took the 301 class up with Chris and Francesca and a whole bunch of other people when it was first rolled out 2.5 years ago, when you were teaching about S controls, which are no longer really pertinent to what we do. What do you suggest? I mean, to pay another $4,000 to go through another Admin 301 class or even another Admin 201 class? Do you have the study guides available to where we can just purchase them? What is your other suggestion?
The study guides are available. You don't have to purchase them. And the best thing to do is to take a look at the study guide and look at what is in there that was not covered in the class.
Not the study guide necessarily, but the materials from 2301 and from 301, the updated materials, to study from those actual workbooks that are given in the classes when you actually register to pay for the classes. Can we get access to those?
We actually don't give access to our materials, but again, the study guide is the best way to see what's covered on the exam. And then you can go and look at our help and training and in the supplemental material to cover the areas that you did not learn when you were in class.
So we can't even purchase them, the study guide and the books?
We don't make materials available for purchase, no.
Oh, okay, because I got a set. I actually bought a set in February of this year from the 301.
Maybe I am mistaken.
So maybe who would we need to contact to see about the 201? Because I've taken the 301 class. I've been in Salesforce for the past, X amount of years. I just want to make sure I get the complete study guide from the 201 class that I'm taking the first beginning certification before I moved on to the advanced certification.
Right. The best thing that you can do is actually send an email to certification@salesforce.com.
Okay.
And we'll find out, obviously, if we can send those materials out to you.
Okay, thanks.
Sure.
That's a good point. Any questions that you have about certification, you can always send an email to certification@salesforce.com, and you'll be able to get a response there. You want to go to this side of the room?
Hi. The study guides that you've got at the moment on the website, have they got the latest release information on them? Or have they got the Winter 10 stuff on it? Or do you have to wait till later on to get that included?
I'm sorry, I had a tough time hearing your question.
The study guides that you've got for the administration courses, have they got the latest release information on them? They have, okay.
They do.
And when is the certification exam going to include the Winter 10 stuff in it as well?
So it already has been updated.
Okay.
And as a general rule, we wait a month after the release before we update the exams.
Okay, perfect, thank you.
Sure.
Two questions. Are the scores like pass-fail, or do you have to have a certain percentage before you pass? And then do you have to do like CECs and continue to pass more exams to keep your certification valid?
It's a good question. So the pass is, you are issued a pass-fail. We actually don't tell you what your score is, but there is a passing score set for each exam, and it varies across all of the different exams. So as long as you get the passing score or higher, you will get a pass on the exam. And actually, you find out instantly. So as soon as you submit your exam, the system will tell you if it's a pass or a fail. And then in terms of maintaining the certification, the way to do that is through the release-specific exams. So as long as you take each release-specific exam, then once your certification year is over, if you've maintained, then you can renew your certification without having to take the primary exam again.
Hi, I tried to take the exam on Monday and I failed. For me. Is there any way to find out how you did on the answers, like to realize what you did wrong? Is there any way to get your scores back so you can try it again and do better rather than having to take the 301 training and pay the money that way?
Right. So like I said, we don't actually communicate the score that you received. We only tell you the pass-fail.
Okay.
And at this point, we don't, the system does not give you topic-level feedback. It's a fantastic suggestion. It's something that we hear quite a bit is, well, what were the areas where I was stronger and where are the areas that I was weaker so I know where to study?
Yeah.
Fortunately, at this time, we do not give that level of feedback, but it's something that we're hearing quite a bit. So,
could I say one more thing? You made a good point about studying for the things that you don't necessarily do in your organization, and I could realize that when I took the test. I was like, oh, oops. So just a tip to everybody, go after what you don't know.
Yeah, a good follow-on to that is since we don't give you feedback on how well you've done in what areas, after you take the test, they're going to take away any scratch paper or anything that you've used to take the exam. But just immediately when you get out of the room, if you can do a little bit of a brain dump of your own on things that you're unsure of, that'll help you to prepare if you need to take it again.
and that's pretty common. You know, we have people who have been administrators for years come and take the exam, and they're like, well, we're not using any of the marketing functionality. There's a lot of questions on marketing on there. So, of course, I need to go back and study that before I take the exam again. And one of the reasons, you know, we put a lot of thought and effort into designing the objectives of the exam to come up with what topics were covered and what's the relative weight of topics compared with other topics. And one of the things that's very important, if we're going to certify administrators, we obviously want to make sure that an administrator knows the full set of tools available to you as an administrator. You may choose to implement some and not others, but we want to make sure you at least know what all those tools are so that you can make informed decisions about what's best to use for your organization depending on what your needs are.
With regard to the questions that have multiple answers, is there partial credit or do you have to get the whole thing to get credit?
The whole thing. We do not give partial points.
I understand that your certification is only valid for a year and you have to take the little mini certifications to keep it current, but after you've done all that, how much does it cost to keep it current?
I believe the renewal fee is $100.
Thank you.
Sure.
If anybody else has any questions and you don't want to get up, I have a wireless mic here, so if you want to raise your hand, I'll be happy to bring it to you.
Right up here, Christine. Two things I wanted to make sure that we included today while Christina's getting... Oh, right. Sorry. Well, I'm still going to say them because I wanted to make sure I mentioned them today. I myself was guilty in my first exam of not giving myself enough time to get to the exam center before my scheduled time. So I ended up rushing down the interstate to get over to Milwaukee to take my test. So I know it's really obvious and kind of a no-brainer, but schedule your test for a time that is going to be really comfortable for you to take the exam. Give yourself plenty of time to get to the test center. You can certainly start the test early if you get there early, but if you get there late, there may be some kind of pressure for you to finish faster you don't need the extra anxiety hanging over your shoulder when you already have the baseline anxiety from the test.
I was wondering if all of the exams are proctored, because I noticed that on the website it said some were online. So
You take the exam using an online tool, but you are in a testing center
all of them are all
where it's
proctored.
monitored by people and cameras.
So what? Oh, go ahead.
There is a criterion. We'll do a web proctoring as well. That's something we implemented. That might be something she read as well.
Yeah, that's a good point. So if you are in a location that does not have easy access to a testing center, there is an option to do an online proctored exam from your own location. And that's something that is also arranged through the testing vendor that we use.
And what's going to happen, it will be explained in the email when you register for the test what the exam center is going to be like, that experience. But what you're going to do is you're going to arrive at the center. They're going to ask you for 2 forms of ID, one that's a photo ID. They're going to take any electronic devices that you have on your person and give you a place to lock those away, but they can't be taken with you into the test. They're going to take you over to a computer that's already been signed in for your test with your passcode. You're going to get a pencil and a couple sheets of paper that you can use for scratch paper during the test. And then, as Karen was just saying, it's an online test. It's a very easy interface to work with, just clicking and answering questions and going to the next question. As we mentioned earlier, you can mark any questions that you're unsure of to come back and review those questions again, and then it'll make you confirm about 18 times before you submit the final test. Are you sure? Are you ready to submit all of your questions? And so that's what the exam experience is going to be like.
Hi. What's the cost of the initial certification? No idea.
It's $200 for all of our exams with the exception of the advanced developer, which is $400.
What is your pass-fail criteria? And also, what is the wait time to find out if you have passed an exam?
So every exam has a passing score, and that is essentially the criteria. So if you get enough questions right to meet the passing score or exceed the passing score, that is considered a pass on the exam. Oh, so it depends on the exam, actually. So I believe the administrator is
60 questions, 90 minutes. 60 questions.
The passing score.
Oh,
I believe it's 67.
67%, which sounds low. I mean, it sounds like, wow, that's easy. But it's a pretty tough exam, very fair, but it's a pretty tough exam, so it's 67%.
And then the second part of your question, once you submit the exam, the screen will actually tell you whether or not it's a pass or a fail, so you know right away.
Does anybody else have any other questions? Oh, sorry, go ahead. You have 2 people back.
Hi, so for those of us who end up learning better hands-on, does Salesforce provide some sort of practice instance of Salesforce that we can go and put our hands on and go through the exercises that are seen in the certification site?
When you take the class, you actually receive an org that has been configured that you can use for different hands-on exercises that are actually part of the class. And I do believe that we have a sign-up page where you can sign up for an org that you can practice in as well. And the other option is you can always go to the website and sign up for a free trial.
Yeah. If you sign up for a developer organization too, in developer.force.com, that'll have the full functionality.
And it doesn't expire.
And it does, yeah, and it doesn't expire.
Hi. My question is, obviously we would need to take at least one of the 3 release exams to remain certified, or do we have to take all 3?
All 3.
Okay. And when do we pay that $100 fee just to keep up the exam?
So it's at the end of your certification year.
Okay.
So it's based on the day that you first take the exam.
Okay.
And as long as you have completed the release exams for each release, then, as I mentioned before, you don't need to retake the primary exam. You can just renew your certification.
Okay. Is there any reason to renew like an administrator and advanced administrator, or once you hit advanced administrator, just forget the administrator, follow-up exam, and just keep the...
Yeah, you'll want to focus on your highest level exam, so you'll maintain your advanced administrator.
Thank you.
Yes.
While Christina's moving over to the next person for the question, I just also wanted to mention that I don't think we said that today, but it is necessary to take the administrator exam before you can take the advanced administrator exam. So being able to take that exam is based upon passing the administrator exam.
How do you find out about the releases? So do you get an email? Like, do we have to find out when we have to take these small exams throughout the year?
Yeah, we notify by email when the release exams are available.
Okay. And there's no charge for those, right? It's just
Correct.
It's just the 100 at the end of the year.
Correct.
I took the exam also on Monday and failed. Do you know, is it the same 60 questions, or is it a pool of like 500, and then you get a random selection of those? Because I'm fairly comfortable with what I saw and what I read, and I'm like, okay, so if I go back and study those things, is that going to be good enough, or is it really where there's a pool of questions that...
There is a pool of questions. We actually have 2 different exam forms. So the next time you go to take the exam, you will get a different exam.
Okay.
But to answer your question, it's the same topics. So the objectives for the exam will be the same. So if you know the areas where you feel like you need to study, I would study those topics, and you're probably fairly well covered.
Perfect. Okay, thank you.
Monday they asked all of the hardest questions. Those were the hardest 60 questions on Monday.
I'm sure.
It's tough. There's a wide array of functionality available in Salesforce. So the exam is definitely it's not an easy thing. It's certainly passable, especially if you go through our training. You'll be well prepared.
I believe it's 100.
Yeah. I think it's $100 to retake it after you take it the first time.
If you take the training, you actually get a voucher. So that voucher is like a coupon that you can use for your first attempt. So if you have to take it again, then it would be $100.
1 year.
So the question was, how long is the voucher good for? And the answer is 1 year. Sorry. Lied myself.
I believe it is tied to the person that we give it to, but I don't know that for 100%. So you can always email certification at Salesforce and they can answer for you.
I don't believe it is actually, but it's almost like a coupon. It is literally like a coupon. So just whoever's signing up, they have to make sure that they can't take it for you. So whoever's showing up has to show ID, and then if they're the person taking the exam, they're going to be the person certified. But it actually could be a colleague, even if you took the class.
So good question. The question was, is the voucher transferable?
Yeah.
And I stand corrected.
I'm sorry?
I stand corrected.
Any other questions?
Right now, for those of you that have stuck around, we're just going to give you the exam questions and the answers up on the screen. Now remember, I think you've probably seen the online survey form before, but we'd really appreciate it if you give us some feedback on the session. If anybody does have any remaining questions that they want to ask, you can certainly feel free to come on up, and thank you so much for joining us today.